أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين وحبيب رب العالمين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين ورضي الله عن أزواجه وأصحابه وأحبابه وذرياته أجمعين وأنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I'm just trying to straighten this so that I'm facing everybody, inshallah. Welcome to Ummah Center. Welcome to our event tonight around knowledge, ilm. We have two esteemed speakers with us this evening. We're blessed to have them in our presence, alhamdulillah. I want to run you through, inshallah, the aims of the evening and then a quick run through the program. So inshallah, the purpose of this event was to bring the community together and to highlight the centrality of knowledge in Muslim civilization generally, throughout history, and its importance today. It's something that unites the Ummah, it's something that the Ummah builds from, and we've seen this in the earliest examples during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So with that, what we're doing tonight as well is highlighting the work of various organizations. So we have many collaborating organizations, as you can see on the slide. I think there's something like 8 organizations that we're going to be talking to you about and just highlighting their work so that you can get a sense of the various and diverse efforts to bring knowledge to us as Muslims in Australia and in Melbourne particularly. So inshallah, I'll be going through that. So first I'll be introducing maybe 4 organizations, the work that they do, and just highlighting that. And then I'll introduce Dr. Samir Mahmood to speak about this topic. I'll then come on again to introduce a few more organizations and their work. And then we'll hear from Al-Hajj Hisham Mahmood, inshallah. And then we'll close with some Q&A, an opportunity to ask some questions. So please, if you develop some questions along the way, save them for the Q&A. Inshallah, we'll have an opportunity to ask our esteemed guests some questions around that topic. And then, inshallah, we'll conclude and there'll be tea and coffee, some refreshments, inshallah, for us to enjoy. Given that we've made a bit of a late start, I'm going to race through a little bit. So forgive me if my pace is too quick, but we'll make a start, inshallah ta'ala. So the first organization, obviously the place we're in, Ummah Center. It's a masjid, many of you are familiar with it. If it's your first time here, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan. The Ummah Center has been around for many, many years. It's been here since 1985. We took over a uniting church building. There's a kindergarten here. When I was a very young boy, I don't want to give away my age, but there used to be a piano inside the kindergarten because we had Jummah running on one side and an operating kindergarten on the other side. And sometimes some of us little kids played on the piano at the wrong times. Alhamdulillah, since then we can see what's flourished in this space. We've got a beautiful building to host many events, and the community here has grown. It's grown in age, it's grown in maturity, and alhamdulillah, we've got a base from which we can build more and more. And alhamdulillah, we've been active. The masjid has been active in various initiatives. So we've got a structured learning program which is commencing tomorrow. And we also have many community initiatives that are related to the political environment that we're in. So we support local candidates, for example, that are advocating our thoughts as a community better than others on the issue of Palestine, as an example. And many other initiatives. We've got 380 something students doing the Maktab program through this center. So alhamdulillah, there's a lot going on here. There's many opportunities. There's Hifz classes. If you can go to the next slide, these are a couple of the programs. One is tomorrow. We have Dr. Samir Mahmood taking us through an introduction to the Islamic sciences. And next door to that, you can see that there's a Sisters Hifz program. Many other programs. I encourage you to visit the website, visit the social media channels, and check those out, inshallah. The next organization that has collaborated here today and is collaborating with us on our structured learning program is an institute called the Medina Institute. They're a global organization. They've got a university in South Africa where they confer degrees, and they've got seminaries in the US, UK, Canada, Norway, Turkey, and they've got chapters in various other countries. And they produce more or less an Al-Azhari type curriculum. And so because of that, we thought that it would be a great opportunity for Ummah Center to adapt that curriculum, because it's tried and tested worldwide in different Western countries, in different environments. And so we can rely on the fact that that knowledge is coming from scholars that have taken it from someone who's taken it from someone all the way back to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Medina Institute is also helping and collaborating with these events, inshallah. The next organization I'd like to talk about is Usul Academy. And Usul Academy, we have the academic director, Dr. Samir Mahmood, from Usul Academy, which is a higher education institution established in 2021. It aims to deliver classical madrasa education as well as contemporary subjects within the Islamic framework. It offers courses online, and so the students are from all over the world, and Dr. Samir is teaching at odd times of the night due to the time zones, and there's opportunities for face-to-face learning in Istanbul, in Turkey. The scholars behind this initiative are some of the most erudite scholars we have on the planet, mashallah. And so the work of Usul Academy, it's accessible to us. It's aimed at more serious students of knowledge. But these are some of the initiatives that are open to us in this day and age when we have the internet, when we have access to some remarkable scholars from all over the world. Now, the primary principle guiding the institution is rooted revival. And this principle has led the organization to their comparative approach to education by juxtaposing the traditional Islamic disciplines, so the classical sciences of Islam, and contemporary social sciences. So they're bringing the rooted tradition, the classical tradition, and applying it and demonstrating how that would apply to modern day contemporary times. So there's that contextualization that's all important, alhamdulillah. And so I urge you to please follow their work and have a look and see if that's of interest. One more organization is Cordoba Tutoring. Now, Cordoba Tutoring is an organization led by Dr. Samir Mahmood that brings a deep understanding of both Islamic religion and foundational principles and historic developments in Islamic culture and civilization. It's aimed more at Year 12 students and early university students. And it's, again, available online. So a resource that we can think about, we can enroll, if you've got children at that age, you can encourage them to have a look at what's available there and some of the programs that they might be interested in, inshallah. Now, Cordoba Tutoring provides exceptional professional academic courses led by a distinguished Cambridge graduate and seasoned academic, including Dr. Samir. And mashallah, when I introduce Dr. Samir, I don't want to embarrass our guests, but I'll have to run through a biography only because it's important for us to know where we're taking our knowledge. We don't do it to embarrass our guests by listing out all of their accomplishments, but it's important to know. So with that, inshallah, if we can move to the slide, I'm going to do a brief introduction of our first speaker, Dr. Samir Mahmood. So as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Samir Mahmood is the academic director at Usul Academy. He's also a lecturer on the Diploma in Islamic Psychology at the Cambridge Muslim College. Many of you may be familiar with the work of the Cambridge Muslim College. Recently, he was an assistant professor at the Lebanese American University. He has a BA in anthropology and politics with a focus on multicultural theory and comparative religion, and an MA, a Master of Arts, in architectural history, theory and urban design with a focus on traditional townscape from the University of New South Wales. He also holds a Master of Philosophy in theology and religious studies with a focus on comparative philosophy and aesthetics, and he completed a PhD in Islamic studies at the University of Cambridge under the supervision of Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, or Professor Timothy Winter, as he's otherwise known. So with that, inshallah, I'll hand over to Dr. Samir Mahmood. Forgive me for running through your biography. I know it's embarrassing for our teachers. MashaAllah, people are so accomplished, alhamdulillah. So I'll hand over to you now, Sheikh, inshallah. If I can just hand these over to you as well, inshallah. So this one, if I can just pin this on you.
So this one instead of that one, or both, all three?
All three.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I just want to say that my top here is Dr. I'm notorious for going inshallah. So what I'm talking about tonight is the topic of unity, the ummah, and knowledge and the relationship. I'm going to start with each one separately, kind of break them down. As a visual person, I like to paint pictures. That's how I see things in my head. So I'll kind of paint a picture, inshallah. When we talk about unity, we talk about a very important fundamental principle in Islam. But it's not just a fundamental principle in Islam, it's a fundamental principle of reality itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ahadun fardun samad. One. He's not just a unity, but beyond that, he is one. Singularly unique. However, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates the world, he creates the many things that we see in the world. The image of oneness in creation is called unity. Unity is always a unity of what? Of many. Right? So, at every level of reality and every aspect of reality, I'll give you examples in a minute. Unity becomes a very important principle. Unity is always a unity of diversity, a unity of men. And it's important at this point to distinguish it from the term uniformity. Uniformity is when things are identical and the same. And things are not identical and the same. They are unities of many things. Another way of saying it is to say everything in creation, from the totality of creation to the smallest atom, is a whole, or a unity of diversity. Let's give you an example. If you look at the small atom, as far as we know, the atom consists of parts inside, right? So the atom is a small unit or whole. Nested within it are these various parts that function together in an overall unity. That's an image of unity. But then atoms are nested within molecules, and molecules within cells, and cells within organisms, and organisms within larger organisms, or larger organisms within ecosystems, and ecosystems within even larger ecosystems. And those are part of the unity of the planet or the whole, right? And that's part of our solar system, and that's part of. So you can see at every level of existence, from the smallest atom or cell to the molecule, everything is a unity, even of itself. And it is nested within higher unities, such that the higher unity always contains the lower. The right approach to the study of reality can reveal the unity of God just by observing the unity of things. وَلَهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. In every single thing, he has an ayah, a sign that points to that he is one, he is a unity. Right? And there's a wonderful Quranic verse where Allah challenges and says, if there were two gods, then the whole cosmos would collapse. There would be chaos. If you think about it, if every single thing in the cosmos is an image of the one that brought it into creation, then they can't be the image of two gods. Right? Everything will fall apart. So you have proof here, if you look carefully, of it has to be one principle. It has to be the divine one for any single thing to even exist and to be integrated in the unity that it is. And I always urge people to really embark on the study of many of the sciences that we have that investigate the natural cosmos, because while the natural sciences are founded upon problematic principles sometimes, they talk about the natural world as being purely materialistic, there's nothing else but that. With the right kind of tawhidic lenses that you can bring to the data, you can reveal and uncover realities and truths about the nature of the world that many scientists just cannot see. Right? because they don't have the right frame of mind, or frame, this is what we call aqidah, right? Aqidah is a way of framing reality. They don't have the right frame to frame reality and therefore interpret how the part fits into the whole, and how the whole constitutes and defines the part. So everywhere you look, there are unities of diversity nested within another unity, within another unity, all the way to the totality of the physical cosmos. And then beyond that, into the totality of existence. Because of course, from an Islamic perspective, then there isn't just the physical cosmos, there are higher realities. Right? So the physical world is nested within a higher world. Your body is nested within your soul, your nafs, which is nested within your ruh, which is your asl, your root, right? And they all work together in perfect harmony. Mizan, balance. That's why the balance is so important. It's also Rahman. Balance is always a balance of different parts. But a balance is parts working together in harmony to constitute a whole, a unity. Right? Which is why balance is so important in every aspect of our life. We don't have time to get into the notion of balance here. But I just wanted to paint that image, that reality itself. When you look at the human being, look at yourself, go home and just contemplate yourself, do yourself in the government, and try to, well, you probably won't be able to see with your own eyes, but you can see with the eye of the heart, the atoms, how it goes. You ever seen a microscopic image of an atom? It looks like the solar system. The world within world within world within worlds. Each one is functioning according to an calm, perfection, harmony, and remarkable. Each one of these is a sign of unity, sign of the one. So unity is absolutely important as an ontological principle. That's a principle of creation, about structural reality, about cosmos. Now I want to go on to the notion of the Ummah. So we've discussed unity. Unity is always a unity of diversity, not uniformity. So it's not a collection of things that are identical or the same. When we move on to the notion of the Ummah, we find that the notion of unity in the same way prevails. Same way. And here I'm reminded of the brilliant writings of a wonderful scholar from the Indian subcontinent, Sheikh Abdullah al-Hindwi. Because he has something really interesting to say about the Ummah. But let's go take a few steps back. According to Sheikh Waliullah and many scholars, in bygone eras, beginning of human history, people lived in small communities. If you look at yourself, you're a unity, right? You're a holistic unity, and you have a balance has to govern the way you govern yourself. Whether it's the relationship between the body and soul and spirit, the relationship between the different parts. But you are also part of a larger unity, which is the family. And that family has also a mizan, a balance, to govern the different parts, constituting the unity. Right? So the family is another notion of unity. Beyond that, there is maybe a cluster of nuclear families that constitute the ashira, qabila, whatever it is. And beyond that, those families constitute a quarter or neighborhood in the city, and then they constitute a city, and then you have various city-states. Right? So throughout history, human beings move through periods in history where the highest level of organization was either the qabila, the tribe, just above the individual, or the city-state. And then, over the ages, there is the ethnic group, and then larger, the nation. And the interesting thing about Shaykh Waliullah, when he writes about why it's so important today, is he says, previous prophets and shara'a were sent specifically to address the kind of balance and unity you needed at that level of human organization. What's so different about Islam? This is the story is so interesting, why I want to talk about the Ummah. What's so unique about Islam is that it is the first Risala and Sharia intended for humanity. Not for Muslims, not for Arabs, not for Persians, not for Turks, for humanity. But he says, historically speaking, Muslims have succeeded only partially in realizing the full potential of what it means for them to unify the human race. And this is why the notion of the Ummah is so important. Because, Islamically speaking, our whole spiritual message and ethics is rooted in a horizon of understanding and a horizon of action that extends beyond the individual. We're not meant to be just good to ourselves, nor good to our brothers and sisters, nor good to members of our Ashira and Qabila, no, not only good to people who are members of our linguistic group or our ethnic group. We have to transcend that and embody a perfection and a kamal and a state of khilafah in which we are refined, moral, ethical, spiritual beings who extend our rahmah, which is intrinsic to our Muhammadan message, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, to all of humanity. Which means the Muslims' ethics, Muslims' horizon of action extends to all of humanity, not just to our people. So when Muslims define the Ummah exclusively in terms of the in-group of Muslims, they're only seeing half the picture. Because this is the understanding of Islam, and it's a universal message, which is rooted in a fitrah, it's rooted in a natural disposition we all possess as human beings. The natural impulse of the Muslim is to construct the Ummah for the sake of the larger step that it's meant to take. The Ummah for humanity, not the Ummah for Muslims only. And ulama tell us even further, the insan al-kamil, the human being who is complete, who is refined by the perfection of the Prophet ﷺ, also extends the pure goodness and rahmah of their being to all of creation. Because all of creation are ummah, animals, plants, trees, rocks, stones, mountains, everything in creation is, and you can see where we're going now. We're going back to the first understanding of unity. Muslim radiates goodness and rahmah towards all creation. That's our ultimate horizon. Now, Shaykh Waliullah says, the Ummah, i.e. the universal Ummah of Muslims, who now transcend national identities, linguistic identities, ethnic identities, neighborhood identities, asabiyya towards or for their own family. Muslims who now transcend that, embody a level of consciousness, a level of civilization, a level of being, a level of ethics that now extends well beyond those narrow confines of these identities. There's no nationalism in Islam. There are nations. Let's go back to the notion of unity in diversity. Islam recognizes linguistic differences, cultural differences, national differences, individual differences. The Quran says quite clearly, if He wanted, Allah would have made us a single people, a single nation. But He made us many. So that's the intended purpose of creation, diversity. But it's not a diversity that leads to chaos. It's a diversity that leads to harmony and an overarching unity, where we stand together, acknowledging the differences, but included within a higher unity. That's our civilizational mission. Well, many of the scholars say that one of the unique, distinct aspects of the Islamic message, that all previous messages of all the prophets were sent to specific people, specific shara, to guide a specific aspect or level of human development and human culture. Islam is sent to all humanity, and therefore the mandate of a risala that is meant to embody rahmah, is that the quality of rahmah is one that is all-inclusive. Remember I said earlier, the cosmos is a unity. Allah SWT brought forth creation upon the attribute of Rahman. Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arshi istawa. The compassionate one presided on the throne. The throne is the throne of existence. So the quality of existence is Rahman. And Allah SWT brings forth things into creation and includes them in this overarching unity, Ar-Rahman. Therefore, the message of Islam, which is brought as a rahmah to alameen, has the same quality. and it's supposed to embrace, because the mandate of Islam is to be shuhada ala nas. To be shuhada ala nas means you have to embody a rahmah, it's all-encompassing, all-inclusive, but a capacity to testify to the truth and the unity for all humanity to see. Not out of dominion and control, but out of, I often say that Islam is a human life, in the sense of, if Islam is the religion of fiqh, of our natural disposition, that guides us towards the actualization of our natural creative way. Every human being has a right to know about it, in that sense. Right? Because the beliefs of Muslims are not beliefs that are a result of pure cultural constructs, or arbitrary dietary laws invented at some point by people. Every aspect of our being is rooted in the natural way of being. It's tariq, it is natural, and therefore it pertains and is relevant to every human being who walks the earth, not just Muslims. So, what's the importance of the Ummah here? The Ummah becomes the next phase of human development, the next phase of humanity moving towards a greater realization of its mandate as a single people under God. It doesn't mean uniformity. It doesn't mean everyone has to become Muslim. That's not what we're talking about. But the consciousness that the Muslim carries within their being is a consciousness whose horizon extends to the furthest reaches of the galaxy or the cosmos. We acknowledge cultural diversities, but we don't define ourselves specifically by narrow identities. They define us partially, but it's not the full horizon of what we aspire to be. In Islamic ethics and fiqh, this is wonderful. If you teach this, they say, it's very easy to be good towards your brother and sister. It's natural, it's biological. It's very more difficult to be good towards a gay neighbor or someone else outside that group, or someone you've never met. But the quality of ithar, which is the highest ethical disposition Muslims can have, is to wish and prefer the wellness of the other over the wellness of the self, no matter how distant the other may be. Ithar. That means that we embody a degree of goodness and perfection that extends beyond the narrow confines of the groups that we are born into or familiar with, and we extend it to ever wider concentric circles that ultimately contain everything in existence. And the Prophet ﷺ, his rahmah, his compassion extended to the seen and the unseen, into all sorts of beings. We know the way in which he felt compassion towards the camel, and how mountains trembled beneath his feet, how he heard the spear of stones. So this Ahmadi aspect of Islam is extremely important, and that is the mandate of this thematic consciousness that we're supposed to ignore. So Islam is a phase in the development of humans' civilization on earth in a certain direction that embodies the fullness of Rahmah of the Prophet. We're here to be a healing for humanity. The Quran is a shifa. That's the mandate we carry. And that's extremely important. So, and essential to that is to embody the unity of the Ummah that is partially embodied historically. Islam represents historically a remarkable degree of unity, but never uniformity, that can teach us much about what we need to do today. It recognizes different cultures, different languages, different adats, all sorts of different things. It never flattened things and created a uniformity of people like globalization does today, like capitalism does today. It flattens everything the same, everyone's a consumer, all buildings look the same. That's uniformity. We want to recover a kind of unity of diversity of the human race that resembles the kind of unity you find in nature. There's all sorts of different species that they all fall under a unified whole. Animals aren't identical, they're not the same, etc. Right? So that's extremely important. So, and for Shaykh Waliullah, every religion, particularly Islam in this instance, is the engine that propels propels the next phase of human development and human consciousness. Islam is, think about it, the first prophet to ever be sent to all of humanity. What does that mean? Something new has happened. And in retrospect, we now know that the world was entering into and becoming eventually a global village. And so, in anticipation of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a risala to all humanity with everything it needs to heal itself and solve this problem. So, unity of the ummah within diversity is extremely important, not uniformity. That means also for us Muslims is to get our act together. Because we all strive towards uniformity. We don't understand what unity means. We want everyone to be of this position, or this sect, or this school of thought. Historically speaking, and this is where the knowledge component comes in, historically speaking, Islam consisted of varieties of schools of thought within a spectrum that unified. In Aqidah, we have several schools of thought. In Madahib, in Fiqh, we have several schools of thought. In Tazkiyah, we have several paths, etc., etc. That's remarkable because very few religions have been able to create such a remarkable diversity, yet unified. And this unity that we're after, not uniformity. So as long as Muslims today keep on subscribing to a very, very narrow understanding of their religion and subscribing to very, very narrow schools of thought, they undermine the unity of the Ummah in favor of a uniformity. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, when we talk about the kind of unity, historically speaking, the only way we can achieve and live according to the unity that permeates the cosmos and the unity that Islam asks us to usher in for the sake of humanity is through knowledge. Knowledge becomes absolutely essential. And that's why the Quran, the Hadith, and Muslims placed a very high premium on ilm and ma'rifah. I had a paper here where I did a survey of how many times the word is mentioned in the Quran and Hadith. We don't really get into that. I even forgot I had a paper until now. But there's a lot of them. And many have described Islam as being essential the religion of ilm and knowledge. It's no coincidence that in the early period of Islam, Muslims translated all the available knowledge at the time into Arabic. They were hungry for this knowledge, but they realized that this knowledge had to be brought into harmony within a Tawheed unity frame. Because it was saying two different things, all over the place. And it brought it into this wonderful unity and created one of the most remarkable knowledge-producing civilizations in human history. This is not me saying this because I'm a Muslim. This is many who have studied the civilization have said this. But what's amazing even, let's go even further. The unity of the Ummah I was talking about earlier was established by two very important developments in Muslim history. The most important one I want to discuss, which is, it was established through knowledge. It is our scholars who established the Ummahtic unity that extended from Morocco to Southeast Asia, from Central Asia to Africa. If you know Islamic history well, you'll know that there were attempts by many early rulers in Islam to kind of try to control knowledge production in the Muslim world and turn it into a uniform thing. Many of these early, sometimes caliphs and sultans tried to, they approached the Abu Hanifa and the Malik and said, we want to make your book into the only fiqh text of the Ummah. And the Imam would say no. Because while my opinion may be right, there were other potential ways of producing this fiqh knowledge. And I will not accept this uniformity. But it's the Imam responding and rejecting the political intervention to impose, because it's much easier to govern an empire when you have a single legal code. Right? Imagine today in a country like Australia, we have 4 different schools of legislation. It's unthinkable to contemporary political theorists. Unthinkable to have 4 overlapping links. I mean, it's unthinkable. But we have a civilization here that flourished with this remarkable diversity within unity. So what Islamic civilization can teach us today is we are capable of much more diversity. We don't have to be uniform. We don't have to turn things into uniformity. It's unity. But we're capable of much more diversity and much more unity. It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? But Islam teaches us we're capable of much more diversity that modern civilization can offer us. But at the same time, much more unity. But there isn't a right Quranic or Hadith frame that helps capture this. So the ulama and the scholars who are the ones who produce the unified ummatic consciousness through knowledge. The scholars were communicating with one another, and they were the ones responsible for producing the knowledge in the Islamic Ummah. And if you go from Morocco to Southeast Asia, and you have the same schools of thought, diversity, all four of them everywhere, all the schools of fiqh and kalam and aqidah, right? That constitutes the unity of the Ummah. The Khilafah, of course, was a certain important aspect of that. And it was knowledge and the role of the scholars that produce the consciousness of the Ummah as a unity. And caliphs would come and go, and sultans would come and go, and life would continue. Yeah? Because they were the bearers of this knowledge and this consciousness. And they're the ones who gave legitimacy to any political authority that came. Right? So it's very good. So we go back down to our local communities. One final point. I know I reached the limit. Knowledge and the acquisition of ilm is extremely important for Muslims, and at least knowledge of the religion, because it teaches us not only a body of information, it gives us a frame of how to think and hold things together. I'm not suggesting everyone go and become an alim, you don't need to become an alim, although we do need to give our ulama a very important role in our communities. But the right way of understanding the relationship, our understanding of knowledge as tawheed. You have one God, He has many names. One God who revealed Himself in various ways to different people, in different languages, in different books. Unity and diversity, the human race, or the human message. One and many. And you can only truly appreciate that and embody that through the acquisition of the kind of knowledge that we produce in the Islamic tradition, because it's all rooted in this rahmatic, tawheedic epistemology. Which doesn't mean you have to shun and reject one form of knowledge. But the more you study these ulum, the more you realize they're much more expansive and offer you a much roomier space to include so much input than the other way around. Right? This is an invitation to include more and exclude less. I know a lot of people, when they think about Islam, they think of, well, it's just another faith, another religion, it has its boundaries, it's exclusionary. People don't understand what Islam is. And the dangerous thing is that many Muslims can't understand, at least not the fullness of its potential and its mandate. And the great ethical moral responsibility we carry on our shoulders as ambassadors of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not only to humanity but also to all creation. I'll leave it at that, inshallah. It's spot on, I think, just under 30 minutes, alhamdulillah. And are we going to Q&A now, or we go now? Okay. Yeah, okay. Very quickly, then, let me just end with a one short dua, because I think it's really important. I love this dua a lot. And it is, Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah. Wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. Haqq means what is real and what is true. And batil means what is unreal and what is false. Very, very important. We can build an entire civilization on mere fancy and wow and fluff. You can build entire civilizations based on an illusion. So our dua has to always be in the midst of so much confusion and illusion and delusion today. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sallam.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Samir. A lot to take in. Alhamdulillah, very well. So next, inshallah, we'll go through a few more organizations that we want to introduce who have been collaborating with us on this event, inshallah. So one of the organizations that has come together today with us is Benevolence, and many of you may be familiar with the work that Benevolence does. They're our neighbours just down the road at 125 George Street. Benevolence is an organization that was actually formed by a group of sisters who wanted a space to be able to explore the tradition, have a safe space to explore the tradition, and also they were dealing with new Muslims coming in, so converts coming into Muslim tradition, and then also dealing with reconnecting Muslims. So Benevolence has a real focus on the convert community within the Islamic Ummah and on reconnecting Muslims, and they provide a range of programs. At the moment, actually, the Benevolence team is, I believe, in Turkey. They've gone on a tour. They're in Turkey at the moment, and then inshallah they'll perform Umrah. And so they've taken a group of students with them, and they're going to be joined by Sheikh Musa Penfound from Yemen, who will join on the Umrah tour as well. So Benevolence down the road, mashallah, they're doing many, many different programs. Up there we have Betty Bubs, which is a program for young children. I think it's full, the wait list is massive. MashaAllah, but it shows that the work they're producing is in high demand and it's good quality work. They also offer Islam 101, which is like a primer for people that are interested in Islam. And many of the people that attend that session, Islam 101, which is run throughout the year, are people that are, that have come across Islam, they've got a Muslim co-worker, they might have a Muslim partner or something similar to that, and they're wanting to introduce themselves to what the tradition is all about. So very, very valuable work, where people might be intimidated to come to a masjid for the first time, because there's protocols in the masjid, there's an adab of the masjid that needs to be observed. And so Benevolence provides that sort of sacred third space that people can come into, ask any question. So the mentality is, come to Islam, come as you are to Islam as it is. So, Benevolence have asked if anyone's wanting to support them. There's a QR code up there. They're taking donations, inshallah, to help them progress their work. So you can take a snapshot of that QR code if you're interested in supporting their work, inshallah. And the next slide shows how you can get in contact with the team at Benevolence, inshallah. Another organization that has come together as a collaborating group is Mizan. And they were the ones that have been facilitating at Hajj Hisham's tour of Australia. Alhamdulillah, there was events in Sydney and now Hajj was with us in Melbourne. And Mizan Avenue started in Sydney, and they were really looking to create a space where they could run regular events and connect the Muslim community with scholars that have a sanad all the way back to Rasulullah. So they were trying to bring scholarship from around the world and make it accessible, again, in a space that's comfortable for students at all levels, in a space, and that, mashallah, they've got a space in Sydney. They're also active in Melbourne. They're running events in Melbourne, and I encourage you to get along to their events. So the next slide shows what they ran recently in Sydney, which was a program where Sheikh Hisham was part of the three scholars that were presenting. They've also got an online bookstore, which I've actually been to the Mizan, what we call a seminary, the Mizan space in Sydney, and they've got a lovely bookstore with lots of really, really great titles. And again, the way that they operate, they sort of ask people if they can to subscribe monthly to support their ongoing work. So if you're in a position to do that, I highly encourage you to do that, so that they can keep bringing various scholars from around the world to Australia and give us an opportunity to access knowledge from those scholars, inshallah. This is a snapshot of some of the scholars at Mizan. There's some local faces that you'll see there, and there's some international ulama and teachers, mashallah, they've done some amazing work. Another organization that has been supporting us this evening is Al-Ihsan Institute. And Al-Ihsan Institute is describes themselves as a community of like-hearted teachers and seekers of knowledge. Their main program is an Alamiya course. So this is a long program for more serious, dedicated students of knowledge. But mashallah, what they've been able to do with technology is they've really gone and invested in, over a period of time, building a platform that makes this accessible and makes it available for people who might be working full-time to still go through a full program, an added course. So it's not just a weekend intensive or a sort of lighter course, it's a full added program, which is not something that's necessarily offered everywhere either. So they've been able to make Islamic knowledge more accessible, that's their mission. And I'm sure they've had a journey since 2016. I believe they probably started, I think it was in a garage, if I'm not mistaken, where there's just people gathering with local trained alims, asking questions, and then it's evolved from there, alhamdulillah. So again, highlighting another effort that's available to us if we're inclined to, inshallah, take that path. At the moment, in 2024, they've got 8 students from all around the world. It looks like the faculty is 24 people, mashallah, so they've expanded from where they started. And they have multiple scholars visiting actually from overseas that then also teach. And alhamdulillah, their platform is really worth checking out. So if you have an opportunity to visit their website, have a look, because it showcases how they use a really nice learning management system to bring the subject matter alive and make it accessible, access to teachers, really easy Q&A, and so on and so forth. They also have a bookshop, again, with a beautiful collection of books, so I'd encourage you to check that out, and please follow them on social media, have a look at their website. And if you're interested in the Alim course, we highly recommend it. Another organization that has been supporting this event is
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح ربكم لا إله إلا الله.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So what we were up to was Convert Collective, another organization. Unfortunately, the founder wasn't able to join us today. I think he was down with a cold, unfortunately. But Convert Collective is an organization in Victoria, relatively new, also working with converts who need a first point of contact for concerns. And having spoken to them about the work that they do, one of the examples that they gave me was that someone that became a Muslim came to a masjid to join the salah, heard the adhan, and then saw everyone praying individually doing their sunnah prayers, of course. And they was sort of like, oh, I thought we prayed together, I'm not sure what's going on, why is everyone sort of randomly doing all these different things? Now, for us, we're familiar with the adhan of the masjid and how we undertake our prayers. We don't even think about these things. But for someone who's new to Islam, seeing it for the first time, and venturing into the masjid, which is their space, how does one answer those questions that we don't even know that they have? And so, Convert Collective, again, was formed by a group of Muslims and new converts to create social events and things like that, where new Muslims could come together, ask those questions that they might feel a little bit silly asking, and they shouldn't, but they may feel a bit of shyness around asking those questions. And they're helping to helping to assist new Muslims transition into the Muslim community and to feel more comfortable being part of the Ummah, inshallah. So they're doing some great work, and they'll be joined by Dr. Sunil Mahmood on Monday in Carlton, where they've got a small gathering where they'll hear a little bit from Dr. Samir and have a chance to sort of informally ask questions and whatnot. So inshallah, if anyone's interested in passing that message on to anyone that they know or joining, please look up their Instagram page. I think they still haven't got a website yet. Very, very new. Now with that, I would like to introduce the next speaker that we have, Sheikh Al-Hajj Hisham.
Can I ask you a quick question? We're going to pray Isha right now, right? So isn't it wiser to just transition to Isha? And then, because once I get started, the Iqama will be called. Right? So I think we're up against the...
Okay, so Iqama is in 5. Okay, inshallah. So what we might do is actually take a quick break for Isha, because I'm told the Iqama is actually 5, but it's actually 9 o'clock. Yeah, okay. Inshallah. So we might take this opportunity to have some refreshments as well, and then the Iqama, inshallah, will hear 5 minutes, and then we can come back, reconvene, and hear from
And this also gives Dr. Samir the opportunity to leave if he would like to leave. No?
Inshallah, we'll reconvene as soon as the Isha